Hello Pokemon trainers! Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. And today I have a brand new ranked deck that I've been playing that's been really strong. Now I know that this is kind of partly one of the best decks in the game, if not the best deck in the game right now, which is the Darkrai Giratina deck. Those decks typically play Druddigon though. And so that's kind of like the kind of deck to beat at the moment, I think, for a lot of people. And you encounter it a lot on the ladder. It is extremely annoying to play against. And of course, I'm not helping by playing something that's very, very similar. But I was brainstorming ways to beat that deck, and if you can't beat them, join them, right? But for Druddigon as a problem, we have Weezing here, and you can't really zoom in to these cards. You can now look at decks like at a glance like this, but you can't actually zoom in, unfortunately. But Weezing has an ability that poisons the active Pokemon if Weezing is the active Pokemon. And then for 1 energy, it does 30 damage as well, which is pretty strong. So against Druddigon, obviously that's really good. It's also good against just a lot of Pokemon in the meta. Very notably, there are a couple of important exceptions. First of all, Arceus, which was one of the best cards in the game before this set came out, prevents status conditions, so Arceus cannot be poisoned. So if you're up against an Arceus deck, you have to keep that in mind. Although typically they do not lead with Arceus. They do not put Arceus in the active spot until they need to. So you can typically poison whatever they do lead with. Also, there's the new Pokemon Center Lady card, which can heal 30 damage from their Pokemon, as well as remove any status conditions. So that can be pretty scary as well, because that's a card that pretty much any deck can play. However, if they do remove the status conditions, you can just follow up with another poison, so it's not always the end of the world, but of course that can be pretty annoying to play against. Another important card here that you can't really zoom into, but I'm sure if you've been playing this game since the beginning, you know this card. It is Koga. Koga lets you pick up or return your Weezing, your active Weezing or Muck to your hand, which kind of sounds weird, but it ends up playing really, really powerfully in some cases, because it means you don't have to spend energy to retreat Weezing in order to go into your powerful Pokemon like Giratina or Darkrai. So something that you can do is poison them with Weezing's ability, and then use Koga to remove Weezing. Your opponent does not get any prize points for that, and then you get to go into one of your really powerful Pokemon. It's also extremely powerful because Weezing has 110 HP, and so if Weezing's really low on HP, if it's about to get knocked out, you can just Koga it, return it to your hand, and then when you replay Coughing and then eventually Weezing, they'll be at full health. So that can be really powerful for denying your opponent some points. And then the trainers in the deck, we have Potions, we have Pokeballs, we have Research, we have Pokemon Center Lady. I have 1 copy of Leaf. It's possible I could play 2. Another card that I was really low on that actually might end up being kind of good is the Team Rocket Grunt card, which can remove energy from the enemy Pokemon, especially if these Darkrai Giratina decks become super prevalent like they are. I think a lot of decks in general these days actually just play a lot of energy, and so Team Rocket Grunt's ability to remove energy from the enemy can be very powerful, but at the moment I don't really have a space to fit it. Like if I'm playing Coughing and Weezing, that's 4 extra slots, and then I'm also playing Koga, so it's kind of like there's 6 slots in this deck if I want to play the Weezing line that are kind of necessary to kind of take up space in the deck, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of the awkward thing about the deck is, you know, we have a lot of space taken up, whereas if you're playing Druddigon instead, that's only 2 cards rather than 6, and then the rest of those cards you can play with good supporters and trainers. So I still think this is a good deck. I'm also not playing any tool cards, mainly because if I'm trying to play Weezing and I'm trying to pick it up with Koga, those cards don't play well with Weezing and Koga. So if you put a Rocky Helmet on your Weezing and then you Koga it, eventually you lose the Rocky Helmet, so that could be really bad. But this deck has been doing really well for me, and of course, if you've watched my channel for a long time, like Weezing is one of my favorite decks since the beginning of the game, so being able to play it with pretty much the most powerful cards in the game right now is pretty exciting. So let's get to some gameplay, see how it does. We have an opponent. I am also playing ranked, of course. I mean, that's anytime I play battles now, it's gonna be ranked. So we'll see how this deck does. It's been doing pretty well for me. I haven't kept track of my wins and losses. I've definitely lost a couple, but I have won some really, really good games as well. So yeah, it's doing what it needs to do. All right, unfortunately, we don't have Coughing and or Weezing. we are up against a metal deck. What do I lead with? I'm gonna lead with Giratina. So that is another issue with this deck is the ideal lead is coughing and then evolving it into Weezing as soon as possible. That's like what you want to be doing with this deck. So in starts where you do not have coughing, or well, specifically coughing, that can be super awkward. Although I guess you're saying like in the Druddigon version of the deck, you're also playing, you want to play Druddigon right away as well. And so there are definitely going to be games where you don't have Druddigon. So, you know, you're always going to run into these issues no matter what. But let's play research here. And we do draw Weezing and we draw coughing. That's really nice. However, it is, of course, super awkward because we don't have it in the active spot. So we either have to retreat Giratina next turn, which I honestly might do, or we have to hope to draw Leaf or something. But we'll see how this turn plays out. My opponent's playing Dialga EX, which is not uncommon. But then they are playing Nosepass, presumably Probopass EX, which is pretty uncommon, we'll say. We did draw Leaf, which I'm actually really happy to go ahead and use. And then we'll retreat. I'm not going to be using Giratina's ability, unfortunately, and nor am I going to be doing that with Darkrai either, but I think this is just more powerful. Obviously, 40 damage is more powerful than 20 damage. Not only that, but it's 10 damage every turn, right? So that's really, really strong. Another reason I wanted to try Weezing in this deck is because Giratina works extremely well with other Pokemon that have abilities. That's why it works so well with Darkrai, because you can use Darkrai's ability by putting energy on it, and then use Giratina's ability to put energy on it. And of course, with Giratina's ability, you end your turn when you use it. So you cannot attack the turn that you're going to activate Giratina's ability. So it ends up working out really well if you're playing a lot of Pokemon that have abilities, because then it's kind of like you're still doing stuff. Even though you're not attacking, you're still doing stuff while activating your Giratina's ability. Now, my opponent actually went for the Adaman there. I really don't mind that at all. I can go ahead and actually just put the energy on Darkrai to do 20 damage anyway. I'm definitely not going to attack with Weezing, because I would only do 10 damage to them thanks to the Adamant, and I would take 20 damage. So we get to go for research here. So this works out really well because we get to get Darkrai's ability as well as Giratina's ability to end the turn. So we don't have to worry about like attacking or not attacking. For next turn, I don't think we're really at a risk if we just don't do anything. I don't need to potion the Weezing because we're not at risk of dying. Because if they just retreat into their other Dialga, they won't have enough energy to go for heavy impact. So now the question is, do I play one of these two, or do I just kind of hold on to them? I think I'm going to hold on to them for now. So I can go ahead and just go for Bellow here, which is going to put the energy onto Giratina. And yeah, now we are whittling down the Dialga, and the fact that they use Adamant, it kind of wasted Adamant. Oh, here we go. We get to see the Pokemon Center lady in action now. She does remove the poison, but like I said, like, that kind of doesn't matter too much against Weezing, because you can just go ahead and use it next turn. Like, you can just use Gas Leak next turn anyway to re-poison them. So it doesn't really, it's not like that crazy or anything, but they're going to get to put more energy onto their second Dialga. If there's a way we could knock out this Dialga, that would be really nice. So let's see. 20 puts it down to 60. Poison it, and then do 30. That puts them down to 30, and then we go to their turn and they go down to 20. I don't love that, honestly. So if we don't do anything else... Oh, we can Koga. We can Koga, knock out Dialga, and then we take 20, we go to 120, they go into their Dialga. If they have red, that's kind of bad. Actually, I'm going to try that. We're definitely going to Gas Leak here. I think I'm actually going to Koga. I might regret this. And then I'm going to put this second Darkrai on the bench. I'm also going to put Coughing back on the bench. And then I'm going to knock out their Dialga. I guess we didn't need to poison, but it doesn't matter. We're going to take 20. We're going to go to 120. If they have red, red is a worst case scenario for us here. If they do not have red, though, and my Darkrai survives, that's pretty massive. Because then we can, like, retreat, go to Weezing, poison their Dialga, and put energy onto Giratina to set up. It's not super likely they have red. They could have it. I mean, okay, so they don't have red. That is perfect. Yeah, I was going to say, like, if they're playing Tinkaton EX, that means they're playing a Stage 2, as well as Dialga, as well as Nosepass and Probopass. So, you know, it's going to take them a while to really kind of... Like my point is, like, they don't have... Like, they have limited cards in their deck, is my point. All right, so now we have a lot of things to think about. We can do effectively 100 to their Dialga. I think I kind of like that. We do 100 to their Dialga by putting an energy on Darkrai and then attacking for 80. But then, well, we actually don't faint there because we can go Potion. Or I could set up Giratina. I could retreat, go to Weezing. Set up Giratina. I'm going to try that, actually. Retreat. Go for Weezing. Put an energy on my second Darkrai. This is just stalling things out, and like I said, denying, or like I said earlier, this is like denying my opponent some points. And ignoring that Rocky Helmet. So we're doing effectively 30 damage to them this turn while setting up Giratina. I'm going to Potion this one just in case they have Cyrus. Although I don't think that matters because obviously they could just go Heavy Impact. But one thing they could do is if they have Cyrus, they could pull in my Darkrai EX and then go for Metallic Turbo to knock it out while also getting extra energy on their bench. So like by Potioning my Darkrai there, that means it does not die to Turbo, which means that they have to knock me out with Heavy Impact, which means they don't get the extra energy on their bench, which, you know, that's like a little niche play, but we're going to see if that works out. Now, of course, they do have Tinkaton EX, which is kind of scary because that has a lot of HP. They have 5 cards left. If they just stay in... Okay, I was going to say, if they just stay in with Dialga, like, I think we're in a good spot. Now, with Tinkaton, they have to flip a heads. If they flip a heads, they knock out Weezing, which is really bad. Like, that sets us back a lot. Okay. They get their first prize point here. This is actually scary, because we can't one-shot them. We go into Giratina. We can hit them for 130. They need another heads. Like, it's gonna come... This battle comes down to a coin flip now. I think we actually have to go into Giratina, right? This battle comes down to a coin flip. We were doing so well. They just have such massive HPs. Oh no! That was so close. If we could put an energy on Darkrai, we would hit them for 20, and then we could red, and then Giratina would hit them for 150. The problem is Giratina does not yet have its 4th energy on it, so we actually cannot do that. So like I said, I mean, this is going to come down to a coin flip on my opponent's part, but this is our best bet here. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. I don't think I am. I almost clicked that. I almost clicked the ability. Oh my god, I would have lost. Okay, so it comes down to this, everyone. If they flip heads, they win. If they flip tails, they lose. I mean, that's like the nature of this game, right? That's like summarizing this game in one sentence. If my opponent flips heads, they win. If they flip tails, they lose. I've had so many games that are like that. But hey, you know, it's part of the game. Yeah, because no matter... Like, there's no other way they can kill me. If they retreat Tinkaton and go into Dialga, they don't have enough energy to do 100. And even their 100 attack does not knock out my Giratina. They don't have any energy on their Nosepass, so Probopass wouldn't do it. So, yeah. It's a 50-50, everyone. Maybe there's a situation earlier where I could have navigated to actually have a win here. I don't think so, though. That doesn't matter. No matter what, like, if they hit tails, they're only hitting me for 100, so that doesn't change the math. I'm holding my breath. Ah, okay. I'm not going to complain. It is extremely annoying to lose that way, but, you know, it is what it is, right? Yeah, there was no way I could have gotten extra damage on Tinkaton beforehand because we didn't have, like, Cyrus or Sabrina, so we couldn't have pulled it into play. So no matter what, that Tinkaton was going to have 170 HP for us to deal with. And I mean, that's a lot of HP to deal with. If we got the poison on them early, that'd be nice. They got 2 heads in a row. I mean, either one of those heads being a tails wins us the game. You know, if they got the tails the first time against Weezing, they do not knock out Weezing, which means Weezing gets to poison them. Then we get some extra damage on them, of course, and that allows us more time to set up for Giratina. So really unfortunate that, you know, my opponent had to flip 2 heads in a row, and that's exactly what they did. But of course, you're going to have games where that happens, and you're going to have games where you're on the other side of it, and you're the one that gets lucky with the head. So, I mean, annoying to lose, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's go to game 2. Here's our game 2. Actually, I don't think this is a game 2. I think this is a bot game. Never mind. I guess we'll talk about this a little bit. I think it's a bot game. Usually, there are bots in ranked right now. Bots are basically AI opponents. They have really, really bad decks. They have like 3 different colors of energy in their deck. They have like a bunch of random basic Pokemon. It's basically a free win. And if you lose like several games in a row, so I've gotten bots even after just losing 1 game. It's kind of like to pad your win-loss ratio. I think it's mainly to have people like you know, if there's like newer players and they're playing this game and they're just losing against OP decks like Giratina decks all the time, that might cause them to like quit the game or something. So the bots are a means of like, this is a really bad start against a bot deck though, because it's going to take us a long time to kill that Lickitung. I think it's more important to set up Giratina because then we can just plow through their team and just do 130 every turn. But anyways, yeah, the bots are there to just kind of like give you a free win, and it is really annoying. I don't agree with it. I played a lot of games where they have ranked and they have bots. I don't find it fun. Like it feels like they're treating you like a baby or something like that. So personally, I do not enjoy bot games, and I find them really frustrating. Like it is basically a free win, but that doesn't feel good. Like if I'm playing this game and I'm playing ranked, my goal is to do as well as possible and win and like outplay my opponents and have situations where I can like make good plays and win the game. And it's unfortunate to lose, of course, but you know, sometimes that happens. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll probably cut ahead because yeah, this is a bot game. And if you aren't familiar, I don't know why I potioned there, but if you aren't familiar with the bot games in this game, basically, like I said, you can easily tell. Usually they have like a normal name like Alex or Matt or Josh or something, like just a simple name like that. And then, like I said, they just play some super random Pokemon. Their deck looks like it has like no cohesion at all. Stuff like that. I guess I'll set up, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and I'll go to the next game. And here we are for game 2, hopefully against a real opponent. I'm assuming it is. Oh yeah, I think bots also don't have any emblems. It's like, they could have done a little bit of a better job disguising bots, but I don't know, whatever, who cares? I mean, some people are passionate about it. Like I said, I don't like having bots, but whatever. Unfortunately, we do not have the Coughing Weezing combo. We are up against a fighting deck. Which also doesn't really matter. I guess the question is, which Pokemon do we not mind taking damage first? I mean, Giratina has more HP. I don't know. I'm going to lead Darkrai. Maybe that's wrong. Diglett. Interesting. Probably going to research right away. There's red. They might not... My opponent might not be playing EXs. Another Giratina and Weezing instead of Coughing. Isn't that fun? Oh, and this is the cool thing. Like, typically, if you are playing first, you can't put an energy on your Pokemon. But the cool thing and, you know, further broken thing about Giratina is if you're playing Giratina, you can. Because it can use its ability right away. So that gets around the whole, you know, you can't play an energy on turn 1 if you're playing first. There's a Pokeball that's probably going to find... It's either going to find Coughing or Darkrai. Probably Coughing. There's a higher chance. Yep, there it is. And I think we will research. Leaf would be nice. Potion. Okay. I will Potion, put an energy on Darkrai, and then Bellow. What is it? Something Space Bellow? Broken Space Bellow. Leaf, like I said, would be nice. I guess something else that we could do next turn is put an energy on Darkrai. Like, if they don't evolve their Diglett, we pretty much win. Well, okay, now we don't win, but okay. and less so now. Importantly, Diglett does extra damage against coughing, so that is something that we are going to need to keep in mind. That is okay. That I don't care about because we have Poison and we have Darkrai's ability. So let's go ahead and evolve Coughing. I think I actually will go ahead and put the energy here and then retreat to preserve my EX and then poison them and then Deep Space Bellow or Broken Space Bellow. Because like I said, that means we get around Diglett's or Dugtrio's ability, so it just doesn't matter. And I guess at this point we can Pokemon Center Lady. I'm not sure we really need to, but I guess we might as well. And then we Bellow, and next turn we could potentially attack with Giratina if we feel the need. If they don't have any healing items, we are going to easily knock out their Dugtrio, though. Kabuto, nice. Kabutops is cool, but if you're going to play a fossil Pokemon, what's it called? Rampardos is way better. Okay, heal for 20, effectively. And potion, okay. So if they flip heads here, that's going to be really annoying. It's going to be very annoying if they flip heads, because then we just can't knock them out. We can still whittle them down, though. Yeah, they take 20. Oh, we don't have a potion. So let's go ahead and put an energy on Darkrai to get 20 damage on them. And then it prevents damage from attacks, right? Yes. So if we want to save our... I mean, we have the Koga. We might as well do it. Like, there's no reason not to. There's no reason to just let our Weezing die. The downside to this is... is that we have to go into one of our EX Pokemon. But I guess we can just do this. If they don't have any more healing, they are dead next turn. So we'll just do this. It's only 40 damage, so it's not that bad. And then up against like a Kabutops, we could potentially knock them out with Giratina. There's research. So it has to be, if they're going to heal their Dugtrio, it has to be potion. They can't play like Pokemon Center Lady or something. Which, why isn't she called Nurse Joy? I mean, in the card, she is Nurse Joy. So why don't they just call the card Nurse Joy? That'd be cool. But either way, whatever. Let me know in the comments why you think that is. Maybe there's an obvious reason. They do have another potion. Annoying. Because if they flip another heads, I mean, this is just getting really annoying. But it's manageable. Like, we're not that afraid of their deck. Nice, finally. Although it feels wrong to go Chaotic Impact. There's our own Pokemon Center Lady. We can preserve some damage. Yeah, actually, this is probably smarter. We just put the energy on Darkrai to deal 20 to them, take them down to 10, and then we pass. Because if we go Impact, we take an extra 20 on our Giratina, which we don't really need to do. I guess at this point, we might as well just start setting up our second Giratina. I also could have put it on our active Giratina to give me more energy to retreat if we need to, which is honestly not a bad idea, but it's okay. So now they go Kabuto, and we have 3 EX Pokemon at almost full health, at over 130 health. Well, over 120, I guess, technically. They put extra energy on Kabuto, which doesn't matter, because I think Kabutops only needs 1 energy in order to attack. Alright, waiting to return. That could mean my opponent Rage Quit, which, hey, I don't advocate for that, but I do get it. Playing against this extremely annoying deck, I get it. So let's just kind of talk through it, assuming my opponent's not coming back. If they do have Kabutops, I think it requires 1 energy. Correct me if I'm wrong. How much damage does it do? I forgot. Is it 90? I forgot how much damage it does. I know that it heals itself though. And then obviously it has like 100 and something HP. And then I guess if they have like over 150 HP, we don't guaranteed kill them in one hit, but we effectively kill them, like, right? We take 20 from Giratina, we go to 120. Their attack, I know their attack does not do like more than 100, so we would survive an attack from Kabutops and then basically kill them the following turn. So even Kabutops is not enough here. Like I said, I mean, it depends on my opponent's circumstance. Maybe they just love Kabutops. Maybe they just don't own Rampardos. But if you really want to play the best possible deck and you really want to play a fossil deck, I mean, Rampardos is just way better. Rampardos is really powerful. That's why it was one of the best decks in the last meta. It remains to be seen how good the Rampardos deck will be in this meta, but I would not be surprised if it is still very good, because it plays interesting with weaknesses. Like Rampardos is weak to grass, but Lucario is weak to psychic. So, all right, sorry it got cut off there at the end. I got a call and it completely cut off my recording. And I was like, I was so upset. I was like, I just recorded for like 30 minutes and it just wasted everything, but it did end up saving that. So either way, sorry it got cut off at the end there, but the game was over anyway. So here is the deck once again, and we'll talk about it. I really like this deck. I think this deck is really powerful. I do love me some Weezing with Koga. If I'm being honest, I mean, if you play against the deck with Druddigon, or just Druddigon decks in general, like, it does feel like you have an edge, because that all they do is just sit back behind Druddigon and just set up their Giratina and their Darkrai. So this feels really good. And I mean, even a lot of decks in the game right now just set up. Like, there's decks that just play Giratina, there's like Charizard, Moltres decks. There's a lot of decks that just try to sit behind a wall and just set up their bench for their like powerful EX Pokemon. And so being able to whittle them down very easily between Poison and between Darkrai's ability is very, very good. So I really like that positioning in the meta. And Giratina is just like a free setup. It just gets to set up by itself regardless of what else you're doing. So it just feels like it slots perfectly. I really like that. Of course, the big downside is, and you saw in this video, I never had a situation, at least in these games, where I was leading with Coughing into Weezing. When you have games like that, it feels insanely powerful because Coughing evolves. It's just stage 1, and then it can attack right away because it only requires 1 energy. So when you have situations like that and you're doing like 40 or 50 damage at a time to the enemy, factoring in Poison, it's very, very powerful. But again, if you don't lead with Coughing, it feels kind of awkward. Though, like I said, you know, the Druddigon version of the deck also will have that problem. There will be games where you always want to lead with Druddigon, but there will be games where you don't draw it. So that can happen as well. But honestly, if I'm going to move forward with this deck, I mean, Giratina is great. It's one of the best cards in the game right now. And I did call it, and when I was talking about my top 10 or top 5 most powerful cards from the new set, I did name it as number 1. But honestly, if you want to play Coughing, Weezing, and Darkrai EX, you could probably play it like just another like Dark or a normal Pokemon, and just kind of go from there. And maybe you don't need Giratina. I mean, I don't know. Giratina's good. Like, my point is, like, it would make your deck maybe a little more consistent if you're just playing Dark Pokemon. I don't know. Who knows? But these cards are great. You know, if you want to beat the Druddigon deck, you can try this deck. I think this deck is really good. But like I said, this deck also has a good matchup against a lot of other decks. It's just the big problem is sometimes it loses to itself. And sometimes, as you saw in the first game, like any deck in this game right now, you can lose to coin flips. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Also, I opened the golden Pokeball, which is amazing. So hopefully I'll open another one, but I don't want to, you know, I don't want to press my luck too much. But please leave a like. Please subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket videos. Let me know in the comments how you have been doing in ranked, and if you have a deck to beat the Giratina, Druddigon, Darkrai deck, or if you've just given in and you've just joined them because it's so good. Thank you for watching.